start the recording too, so that we have this. So people, if they aren't able to watch it live with us, and thank you all who are here watching it live with us. But for those that can't watch it live, we always record them and we put them on our YouTube channel, where Rachel is a regular star, I have to say, on our YouTube channel.
She's the face of Warwick's events. I
Yes.
love it.
Oh, and that's what I forgot to put up. I'll put my sign up for when I come back
Oh,
for.
that's I knew
Oh,
something was off.
yeah, because I've been on Zoom meetings. We were talking in the green room. I've been on Zoom meetings all day today too, but I usually don't have my sign up. So I'll put my sign up when I come back for questions. I
Then
won't bother
everyone will
you with it
know.
right now. So there we go. So we are here with Gabriella Saab. Hi, Gabriella. How are you?
Hello, I'm so good. I'm so happy to be here.
Good. You are actually calling in to us today. I always like to fill a little bit of time to give people a chance to get on with us. You're calling in today from.
Alabama, Mobile, Alabama,
That
down
is
in the
so
sweet.
cool.
So happy Mardi Gras, everyone. Les le bon temps
Yeah,
brûlé.
I
that's
love it.
so
You
cool.
gonna go have some good food after this?
I need to because tomorrow's first day of Lent, so we gotta get it out of our system
And
today.
you are such a foodie. Everyone needs to
Such a
follow
foodie.
her on Instagram because she is a foodie and a
Ooh.
cocktail connoisseur. It's
I
really fun
am.
to see her content.
I love that. I love it, love it, love it.
Thank
Well, I
you.
always like to, we have the chat open, so we always like to hear who's calling in from where or where you're watching us from. So we always like to see that too. And then Rachel is coming to you from.
Toronto, yay!
So I usually have my sign behind me that says Warwick's established in 1896. So you'll see that after the break. But so I'm Julie Savinsky. I'm the director of events at Warwick's. And if you're in the San Diego area, we would love for you to stop. Hi from Encinitas. Hello, Renee. We always love seeing you here. Thanks for coming in.
Yay.
Um, if you're in the San Diego area, we would love for you to come by the store and pick up Gabriella's book and Rachel's books and all kinds of authors' books and listening for British Columbia, Canada. Yay!
Cool, yay, BC.
Go. I love it. So, but in the chat, what I'm going to do, Gabriella and Rachel are going to talk for about 30-35 minutes. And then they'll invite me back on for questions. So in the chat, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in how to order Gabriella's book from us. Fortunately, we only ship to the lower 48, but I know there's lots of great independent bookstores in Canada. So
Yeah,
wherever
support
you
your indie.
support your indie. Ah, we got some New York. Hello, Maria. We got somebody from New York.
Cool.
Yay. And just so you know, some of you who are trying to chat with us, you might have it set. You're just chatting with us, the hosts and panelists. So if you want everybody to see your comments, just make sure that that's clicked on. So for questions, there's a little, I know we all know Zoom. We've been doing this. Rachel, we've been doing this for a long time.
Oh my gosh,
Uh,
it's so 6
2020,
years.
6 years. 6 years.
Whoa.
Good
We love it.
Lord.
We love it. I love it.
Long
But I know
time.
everybody knows Zoom, but there's a Q&A button down at the bottom. Oh, hi from Vienna, Virginia. Hello, Carla,
Yay.
another one of our regulars.
Yeah.
Um, Down at the bottom of your screen, you're going to see a Q&A button. So pop any questions that you have for Gabriella or Rachel into that Q&A, and they will invite me back on to field those for them, and you'll see my sign. So, so let me introduce these two lovely ladies, and I will then go away for a little bit. So, Gabriella Saab is an acclaimed author of historical fiction. Her first two novels, The Last Checkmate and Daughters of Victoria, have been published in multiple languages. Excuse me, Daughters of Victory. Let me get that correct. Have been published in multiple languages and various countries. She graduated from Mississippi State University with a Bachelor of Business Administration in Marketing. And as she says, she lives in her hometown in Alabama. And she's here tonight to talk about her new book, The Star Society. Somebody have a copy?
Yay.
Oh, I got a copy too. There she is.
Yay! There
It's
she is.
so
That
pretty.
such a pretty cover.
She is. They did a
Um,
great job.
I love it. Oh, and I'm just before I get Janelle's from Illinois, so we got all kinds of we got people from all over the country. I just love it.
Love it.
Okay, so here Gabriella is our wonderful, our ever favorite Rachel McMillan.
Hmm.
Rachel is the author of over 20 novels, including several bestsellers. She has also co-written a couple of those with Amy K. Runyon and Janelle Sazelski, and she has also writes nonfiction. As she says, she lives in Toronto, where she works as a literary agent and has been doing, like we said, we've been doing these virtual events since 2020. We adore her, and as I always say, she is the busiest lady in this business. So with that,
Oh,
you two have a great conversation. I'll see you in a little bit.
thanks, Julie.
Thank
Hi.
you.
It's so
Hi,
nice
Rachel.
to virtually talk to you.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan. I've been a huge
Ah,
fan since the last checkmate. Um,
thank you.
and what I love is that you've done, you have established yourself as a best-selling 20th century novelist, writing in interesting parts of the 20th century, but this is so different. The Star Society is so different from Last Checkmate and Daughters of Victory. And
Yeah.
obviously there's the undercurrents of post-war and there's the undercurrents of, the Red Scare, and we've got all of that going on in Hollywood. But I did there is, even though the war drags at its heels, the sumptuous celluloid Hollywood backdrop is a little bit lighter than chess games in a concentration camp. And
Yes.
from Daughters of Victory, was it needed for you to shift focus and just like balance out a little bit of the darkness that now when I tell this to readers, it's not so dark you won't enjoy them. There's definitely themes of hope and light, but
Right. It's
there's a
heavy.
gravity to those settings. Was
Right.
it fun to kind of get out of that world and into
Yes,
Hollywood?
it was. I wanted to do something different because I didn't want every single book I write to be that heavy as
Yeah.
Checkmate and as Daughters. As much as I enjoy delving into those harder topics and, exploring those more difficult, heavier kind of settings, I was kind of ready to do something a little bit lighter, a little bit more fun and glitzy and glamorous, while also, as you said, kind of maintaining that undercurrent of all these dark and terrible things that have happened during the war. And so this book really came from that. And I did want it to feel lighter, despite those kind of heavier elements of the politics and of, the lingering effects of the war. I wanted to dive into the fun of Hollywood and the glitz and the glam and just kind of that shiny surface that we get to see, and then dive deeper into the darker surface underneath all of that.
I love that. And I I love this. I love the golden age of Hollywood. I
Yeah.
love films from that era. I love it. Um, I actually last Sunday read a blog post by V.E. Schwab,
Mhm.
who wrote The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue and many other massive bestsellers. And I learned that and this is just a by the way for any readers who read V.E. Schwab. Um, the name Schwab, her lineage is from Schwab's drugstore in
Are you
LA,
serious?
which of course, if you've seen Sunset Boulevard, that's
Yeah.
it's a major part of our perception of Hollywood and where
Oh,
people used
yeah.
to hang out and this golden age. I was reading, she wrote a really wonderful memorial to her father
Yes.
who recently passed, and he was in the lineage of the people who owned Schwab's.
That is so fascinating. I did
So it's
not know
in the
that.
book, and I was like, "What? That's so cool!" Um,
Amazing.
and so one of the cool things I love is when authors actually go on site or on location to do some research for the books. And because I'm a
Yes.
fangirl, I follow authors often before the books come out, like I did with you. So I got to see
Yes.
your Hollywood and LA pictures before this became the book it became. Can you talk to us about that trip and how visiting these places informed? Did you take lots of pictures? Did you write on site? How did this inform how the Star
Yes.
Society came to be?
Yes. So any opportunity I can, obviously it's not always possible, but if I can get on the ground of my setting, that just, it's so important to me to try to do in
Yeah.
some form or fashion because it makes such a difference when you're there and you feel the place and the energy and the history and just everything comes to life so much more. So I like to take that trip after I have a first draft. Because
Okay.
then, yeah, so because then I know kind of what the story is. I know the locations I'm featuring, and I'm a planner for anyone who doesn't know, which means I plan my books out before I write them. I do all my research up front. So even if things change in the first draft, kind of the bones of the story pretty much stay the same. So I know if I travel at that point, I've probably got all my locations pretty much figured out to where I'm not going to get home and be like, oh, I wish I'd gone there and now I can't because I already took the trip. And, so I try to plan it in that way to where I can do as much as I can on the trip and do as much that's going to help me as possible. So it was this time 2 years ago. I was in California this week, 2 years ago. Um, in LA in Hollywood, and I had the Star Society written, so I knew everywhere I needed to go. And I just wanted to go see everything and do as much research into the golden age of Hollywood as possible. And there are so many amazing museums and just locations, and the Hollywood Cemetery, just so many places where you can just touch on all that history. And I did a tour of a film set over at Warner Brothers. They have a classic films tour, and
Wow.
so, yeah, so I got to go into the soundstage where Audrey Hepburn filmed My Fair Lady and see her name up on the
And
plaque and
she's your
everything.
favorite.
And she is my favorite, and she is the reason I wrote this book. And so, just walking through that same door that Audrey walked through, 60 years ago was incredible. And it was just so amazing. And I am so fortunate. The beauty of being authors is we have friends all over the world,
Yeah.
and so I have a couple really good friends who live in LA, and I met with them and they took me all around, and they both love, LA and the history in California. Um, and they're both from there. And so it was just really, really wonderful to see those places with people who are from there, because that kind of makes it come to life even more. And then I take so many pictures, and I do this kind of crazy thing where I film video, and I'm walking around like recording myself talking about what scene is taking place here, because I'm like giving myself directions basically. So, for example, in the Biltmore Hotel, that's where a lot of the early hearings took place, from the House Un-American Activities Committee when these hearings started in Hollywood. And one of my characters is staying there while she's investigating communism. And so I knew I stayed there one night. And the rest of the time, I was just walking around with my camera saying, okay, you walk through the front door, and this was the original lobby. It's not the lobby anymore. Then you turn left and go this way. And just like talking to myself. So giving myself this kind of roadmap that I can then go back and watch those videos and listen to as I'm editing the book and kind of
Oh,
make
that's
those
brilliant.
locations. It helps me so much because I'm such a visual person. Like, I can't necessarily look at a map and figure it out, but if I can walk and
Yeah.
hear it and feel it and know it myself, then I can go back to that map and say, okay, this is where I was. Um,
Especially because so much changes.
yes.
Uh, I haven't written that many books set in America, but I did write two set in Boston, and I love Boston.
Yes.
And I would go, it's about an hour and a half flight from Toronto, so I would go several
Ooh.
weekends out of a year just to research. And what I would find is that a lot of the places that I was writing, the streets that exist now did not exist then because, of course, they built highways, they moved things over. And
Hmm.
that's part of the fun is the jigsaw puzzle of what we know from the past and
Right.
how to mesh it with what it looks like now. So I love picturing you going through and then going back and being like, okay, they'll turn here, they'll turn there.
Yes. And it used to be this, and now it's not, and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
And
It's so interesting.
Hollywood, it's so fascinating to look at. For anyone who wants to read about, we've got the communism here. Obviously, there was a Nazi, pervasive Nazi influence in Hollywood. Susan Elia McNeil's The Hollywood Spy. Read that. It's interesting that we have these connotations of Hollywood as being so starstruck and wonderful and brilliant, but beneath the glitter, it was a place where so much propaganda and so many little wars were bubbling under the surface. Um, was this, you know, was this so you had Audrey Hepburn, who doesn't, we love her. We know that she was very much involved in this Second World. That was a huge part of her
Hmm.
identity, her life, living in occupied
Hmm.
Holland. How did you take her story and create the two sisters who form the Star Society?
Yeah.
How did you connect those dots?
So I wanted to use Audrey's early life in particular to inform the story, because I thought it was so fascinating that she was someone whose life was so heavily affected by World War II. For those who don't know, she grew up in the occupied Netherlands. She had family members who were killed by the Nazis, who served for the Dutch army, and who were Dutch officials that were, arrested simply for being influential Dutch people, and then killed and things like that. And so Audrey herself worked for the resistance. She raised money. She was a courier. She was a dancer. And so she would dance to put on these performances for people who were sympathetic to the resistance cause. They would raise money and then, of course, use that money to support, Jewish people who needed help or resistance efforts or whatever the case may be. But then she comes to Hollywood. She becomes one of the biggest and still one of the biggest, celebrities and actresses of her time and of all time. but she was a very intensely private, introverted person. Like she was so much happier at home in her garden with her dog and with her pets and with her family, and did not really like attention. She had a very low opinion of herself, very low self-esteem. And so I thought, why would someone who, if you look at that kind of personality, that seems like the opposite of someone who wants to be in the spotlight and wants to be a star. What got her there, and how would someone living in that very, very flashy, very, very public eye, who has all these things from her past that she doesn't want to talk about because no one talked about the war, and she was very private and very personal and very emotional, and so she liked to keep all that kind of close to her chest. That wasn't things she shared readily with people. So, what would it be like to go from that, from living in the occupied Netherlands, suffering what she suffered malnutrition and all sorts of terrible things,
Yeah.
to then become such a prominent figure. And so I wanted to explore that through this story, but I didn't want to do it through the lens of World War II. And so I started by researching what was Hollywood like after World War II. That's where I came upon the beginnings of the Red Scare, because we think of the Red Scare, or at least I did, more prominently in the 50s with McCarthyism and
Yeah,
those sorts of
yeah.
things. Yeah. And I didn't realize how on the heels of the war it was, and to where it was kind of this immediate switch from we're fighting fascism to now we're fighting communism. And so I thought that might be an interesting way to explore this topic. Someone who has gone through the war, has come to America, has sort of reinvented herself, who then gets swept up in the Red Scare. And I wanted to explore that through two sides of the coin, being one person who is thought to be communist or be involved with communists in some way, and someone else who is working as a private investigator to investigate these communist allegations. And so I have two sisters. Ada is one, she's an actress. She's the one more heavily inspired by Audrey Hepburn. And then Ingrid is her twin, and they get separated during the war and they reunite in 1946 over these allegations because Ingrid is sent to Hollywood to investigate her sister, who has fallen under suspicion of communist ties. And the reason I wanted them to be not only siblings but twins is because I wanted those ties as close as I could possibly
Yeah.
get, because you have two people who love each other. They're very close, before they get separated. They're very different in a lot of ways. One is artistic, one is more, focused on history and politics. But they're still so loyal and so close. And then they get separated and then they reunite again and try to rebuild that bond while keeping their secrets and while kind of, dealing with their own personal battles and demons because of everything that's happened to each of them through the last few years that they've been apart. So it was a really, really interesting dynamic for me to explore.
I love it. They're two sides of the same coin.
Yeah.
And I really like, if anyone has read The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna, that is the takeaway. The two sisters who are caught on either. Do you have siblings?
Yes.
Okay, so you know that sometimes, and I love my brother and sister, but sometimes it's like,
Yeah.
how do we see the world so differently?
Right.
We grew up in this, and there's lots of overlap. We grew up in the same household.
Hmm.
My
Yeah.
sister and I are very different people. We get
Right.
along really well, but
Exactly.
it's just like, how do you see the world this
Right,
way?
exactly. Yeah,
Um,
I'm one of five, and so we all
five.
just
Oh my goodness.
five. I'm number two, and so same parents, same household, as you
Yeah.
said. So there's my older brother and me, and then there's a fairly decent gap, and then my three younger siblings, and the youngest two are sisters. And so, but yeah, it's so interesting to see how people process differently and take on the world differently and become such different people despite growing up in the exact same circumstances.
Yeah, I loved that part of it. And I just love the glamour of the whole thing.
Yeah.
Um, do you have some, obviously Audrey Hepburn, but were did you allow yourself to just watch movies as research?
All the time. That was my excuse. I'm like, it's this research. I'm gonna sit here and watch, It's a Wonderful Life or something like that. And
Yeah.
so it was so much fun. I loved getting to watch all the old movies and just really immerse myself in the golden age of Hollywood. I watched a lot of documentaries and things and like interviews of these people from that time or from, a little bit later. Just to see what film premieres. There's some like video of people like arriving at these Hollywood premieres. And so that was really fun to just see them, in all their glitz and glam and just at these lavish parties. And I just jumped in with both feet and ate it all up. It was so fun, listening to all the music and things that were popular during that time because it was so much fun for me to just allow myself to fully jump into that world and watch every single Audrey Hepburn movie over and over and over.
As if you weren't going to do that. I mean, I
Hey,
just do that
right. That's a
always.
normal Friday
But
night, but
what I find really fascinating is that you capture the cadence and dialect of the time
oh,
period
thank
in your
you.
dialogue, which is not easy considering you're writing to
Yeah,
people who are not American by birth.
right,
That
right.
must have been a bit of a challenge. And I think, you know, even now we can watch films from the 30s and 40s and recognize that there is a different way of speaking.
Hmm.
Often, you know, uh, heightened by Hollywood wanting a certain, we think of the Katharine Hepburn voice. We think of
Right.
how Audrey Hepburn has a bit of a colonial flair, something that doesn't
Yeah,
quite fit into a box. It could be from anywhere. Um,
right.
that must have been really fun to try and play with, like, what did they say?
Yeah.
How did they say
It
it?
was, and I love dialogue. That's one of my favorite parts of the writing process because I think it can be such a difference between making your characters feel like they belong in that story and like they belong in that period, and they can, yeah, that helps to convince your reader in a lot of ways. Because if they come out sounding like they're Gen Z, then it's not going to work if
Yeah.
I'm telling you they're living in the golden age of Hollywood. So yes, that was so much fun for me to kind of take that style and manner of speaking and that kind of persona that so many of them would put on for the camera and for the public and kind of apply it to the characters and also through their individual personalities as well and kind of let that shine.
And did you turn brain on, Rachel? So, one of the things that I found really interesting is how you mentioned that you outline. So, a personal question here. When you
Yes.
outline, do you have an idea of what dialogue you want to happen in what scene? Like, we need to get to this point.
Sometimes, because sometimes as I'm developing the story, I get scenes and I go ahead and write those. I might not use them, but if they come to me, I'm like, okay, this
I'm
came
the
here for a
same
reason.
way. Then I have
It's
to
so
sew them all
helpful.
together and it becomes a tangled,
Yes.
thing of
Yeah,
yarn that
sometimes,
I have to,
yeah, it does that.
yeah.
Exactly. But sometimes those usually, honestly, those usually end up being very important scenes because they're like the kind of the high points that I want to hit in the story. So then, yes, when I'm outlining, I'm like, this scene goes here. And I don't stick it in the outline, but I make a note. Remember when you wrote that scene? Make sure you bring that in, put it here. So yeah, sometimes.
And I really love, I love any story that has to do with women having agency in a time
Yeah.
period where women were not afforded or allotted a lot of agency. And
Yeah.
what's interesting about Stars Aside is you have a woman who is Hollywood women were owned by studios. Like it's very much something that exists within a mirror of a patriarchal society. You could be
Right.
sold off, you could be loaned out for another picture. You're creating two strong women, but one of them very much is part of this machine. And even though Audrey Hepburn was able to, still have a lot of independence, we can see how she was
Yeah.
not always in control of all of her decisions. She
Right.
didn't have the easiest
Yeah.
time. That must have been very interesting, especially when you looked at how these sisters are opposites, because one works in
Yeah.
what we would typify as a more feminist type, like going after, and the
Hmm.
other
Right.
is the belle of
Hmm.
Hollywood. And I don't know if that's a question rather than a rambly statement, but you did it so freaking well.
Well, thank you. But yeah, like you said, that's such an interesting thing to look at because they are both cogs in their machines in a lot of ways, but also trying to be independent and have some autonomy as much as they can and fight for that. And so, yes, that was very, very interesting to try to give them as much of that as I could.
Now, when you're writing, are you working on more than one thing at once, or do you have to finish something and then move on to the next thing?
I can be in different stages at one time. So if I'm
Okay.
drafting, I'm not usually drafting multiple things at one time, but I could be drafting this one and researching another one. So I can kind
Okay.
of compartmentalize that way, but I've never tried to draft two projects at once. Maybe I could do it because they do become very separate entities in my head. So it's
Yeah.
not like I'm confusing things or
Which
bringing
which one
characters
am I
over.
on right
Yeah,
now?
right, exactly. No, it's not like that for me. I mean, it hasn't been before. So I might have to try that. Maybe I'll try that at some
Did you
point.
miss them when you turned it in
I
and you have to say
did.
goodbye?
I always miss them, but these were so much fun. Like I had so much fun with this book, probably the most fun I've had on any book. Although Survivor's Guild was a lot of fun too. But in terms of the characters and just the Hollywood setting, as we said, I got to write a gossip column, which was a blast, and just it was so much fun.
I loved that part. And I did wonder, was there anything that you had to cut because of page space or your editor saying, this is a little too long, we got to cut this,
Right.
or you love this scene, but it's not propelling us
Right.
forward?
I mean, there's probably
Like,
some things I should have cut because I know I get wordy, but but I mean, I didn't for this one, I didn't lose a lot. There were some
good.
scenes we kind of combined, but mostly kind of the elements were there and kind of the beats were all there. So I didn't have to kill too many darlings this time. But I did there were a couple smaller scenes that we lost to kind of help with pacing and things, but mostly I got to kind of keep everything. I definitely got to keep all my favorite ones, which was lovely. I didn't have to fight for anybody, so that was good.
And because I always
So yeah.
think about, you're outlining, you're researching, and as a historical writer, I research 10,000 times more than what ends up in the
Oh
book.
yeah.
Like there's that
Right.
image of like you see the top of the iceberg, and I wondered,
Yeah.
in the same vein, was there anything that you researched about this era in Hollywood or about the Dutch resistance that you were dying to put into the book, but it didn't
Yeah.
just fit?
I would have delved a lot more into the Netherlands and the
Yeah,
Dutch, the experience during the war if I could have, because there was so much there and so much interesting stuff. But I really tried to like rein it in and say, okay, what is going to be relevant? What do I need to help
that's
everybody
another,
understand?
yeah,
That's another book entirely,
another book.
maybe
Um,
someday.
I think Warwick's people know this from other interviews I've done, but my grandmother, my Oma, was a war bride from Holland when the
Yes.
Canadians liberated. So it's a
Wow.
huge part of my history, and I loved reading
Yes.
it in this book,
Oh, well,
um,
glad.
because that is why I'm here.
That's you. Amazing.
And do you have, I'm going to ask you in a second before we get Julie back on here. I'm going
Mhm.
to ask you in a second for some books that you read and love, but now I'm just thinking, are there any films that you think we should watch? Just in general.
Oh, just in general. I
Just in
mean,
general. Like some
in
favorite oldies.
I was gonna say my favorite Audrey Hepburn films. I started with My Fair Lady. That's the one I used to
Love
watch at
it.
my grandma's all the time. I
One of
still
my
love it. It's still
favorites.
one of my favorites. Love that one so much. I really, really love her kind of lesser popular ones. I mean, I guess Charade is popular, but not as
Yeah.
popular as Tiffany's or, My Fair Lady. Sabrina is fantastic. And also, if you go back and watch all of Audrey's movies and then you read The Star Society, I peppered in so many little things that are
Yes.
like
Little Easter
nods.
eggs.
Yes, to her characters, to her as a
Yeah.
person. And so, yeah, Sabrina is obviously a classic. Roman Holiday is very much holds a special place in my heart because, it's her first. And it's like that was her breakout in America. And that's incredible to me. And also, the man who wrote that, Dalton Trumbo, was one of the Hollywood 10
Yes.
who were,
Bryan
in.
Cranston played him in a
Yes,
film. Yeah.
yes, in that movie. Yes, exactly. And so it's just kind of brings it all together and makes it feel so real. But yes, I love, 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 love her movies. So I recommend all of them. They're
I
all
am a
wonderful.
How to Steal a Million fan
I was
too.
gonna
I
say, yes,
love her with Peter O'Toole.
that's a
But
great
you
one.
can't really go wrong with Audrey Hepburn. Um,
No.
it's she she is just such an icon in so many ways. And what
Yeah.
I love is that she was still an activist until her passing. She
Yes. Oh
worked
yeah.
for, was it UNICEF? She was
UNICEF.
always a
Hmm.
spokesperson. She
Yeah,
was
she kind of stepped
always,
away from acting
yeah.
to focus on UNICEF and her family, which is so amazing.
Just impressive. And then
Yeah.
my final question for you is
Okay.
any books that you're reading and loving?
Yes, so I just finished a few that I will tell you all about.
Woohoo!
I read My Fair Frauds by Lee Kelly and Jennifer Thorne.
Which is so my fa- Isn't that adorable? That's a great
So
book.
good. Such a good book. I
They're
love them.
great.
They are so good. I love them as individuals authors, but I love them as co-authors so much. Every
Yeah.
book they've done together has been a delight.
And their
So
new
that one
one, The
is
Midnight Show, is
yes.
coming out soon,
Gosh,
and
I can't
I
wait.
haven't read it yet, but
Me
it's
either.
gonna be fantastic.
Yeah, 1980s Hollywood
Yeah.
comedy, like that's going to be amazing. So they are wonderful. And My Fair Frauds is set in the Gilded Age in New York, and it's wonderful. It's such a romp and a caper. So read that one. I love a good thriller, so I read His and Hers by Alice Feeney, because I wanted to read it before I watched it on Netflix.
And
So
I
good.
told you that the
You
one
did.
thing I hated
You
about
did.
Netflix is they changed the setting.
I know. I
But
was because I was all geared up for a lovely little British thriller, and I didn't get
no,
it. I did it
but
in Georgia, but it was
still,
still
still
very
very
good.
good.
And they stayed very true to the book, which was nice,
And
in a
such a
lot of
twisty
ways.
ending, which I will not give
Yeah.
away. But
No, no, but I love that. And then the other one I just finished is A Queens of London by Heather Webb, which I have had
oh,
since it released. I was
so
saving it.
fun.
It's so much fun. Again, it's 1930s, set in London, about female gangs like Peaky Blinders, A Thousand Blows, if you've seen that on Hulu.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And you hear gangs and you think scary. And yes, there's a lot that happens, but they are just the most lovable bunch. It's amazing. And yeah, so those are the three that I just finished. And I'm about
Oh,
to start
that.
The Fourth Princess by Janie Chang, that which just came out.
Oh, she's a pal of mine, like an
Yeah,
actual real life
oh
pal of
really?
mine.
A real
She's
life friend?
a Canadian.
I
Yeah, I'll
love
be
that.
seeing
I'm
her in a few
so
weeks.
excited. Oh,
That's a
good. Well,
beautiful book.
I can't
Um,
wait.
I am really, really happy that we got to do this virtual event. And Julie, maybe
Cool.
we should be doing another virtual event when her next book comes
In
out in like
September, so we've got some
5 minutes from now.
5 minutes from
Right?
now. Okay,
We'll
that
all
half
just
hour
stay
went way
here.
too fast. That's all I gotta say. So that
That's right.
was so fun to listen to you two.
I
Um,
could talk to Rachel all day.
Well, you
so
are a really wonderful, encouraging, and lovely author who is always ensuring that they uplift other people. And
yep,
I love that about you
Thank
so
you.
much.
I
love
love that
it.
about you too. It's
Love
amazing.
it. That's what Rachel, that's what you do. And sounds like Gabriella does too. You guys are awesome with that. And I brought my sign. My sign's
Yeah,
here.
Yay!
what mix? There you
Now we know
are.
Just
where
a
we
little bit.
are.
There it is. A little more
All
centered
right.
there. A little
We
more
know
centered.
where we are now.
1896, we're centered now. We're grounded.
Amazing.
But no, such a great conversation. Okay, couple things that before I get to Maria's got some questions and some comments in the section that I'll get to in a second. But Rachel, I was fascinated by your little discovery of V.E. Schwab's family ties.
I
Who
did
knew?
not know that.
For all these years, how
And
did
I
none
have
of us?
read her books to freaking shreds. I
Right,
love them so
Right.
much.
right.
Oh my
And it
gosh.
was, she wrote this beautiful, beautiful Substack remembering her father who recently passed just a few weeks ago. And she put
Oh,
on socials that she really wanted people just to take the time to read his story and remember him. And I was like, I'm going to take the time because I
yeah.
love her so much.
Right.
And I'm going to read about her father. And that's when I read about that connection. And obviously, I'm a huge Billy Wilder is one of my favorite. So I love Sunset
Yeah.
Boulevard. And I know, and I was like, hey, it's in your book as
That, but I
well.
mean, how did none of us put that together?
I
As
just
Yeah.
never, I never
like,
thought of it.
yeah.
Actually, my all-time favorite, this is a little aside here. Okay, so I often wear glasses and I've got short red hair. And I w was in Edinburgh when V.E. Schwab was doing a signing. And I went into the bookstore to get ready to go, like, listen to her speak and do a reading. And they thought I was her because
Oh,
of the red hair in the
right. Oh,
bookstore.
yeah,
And I was like,
Oh my
this is the
gosh.
coolest,
yeah, yeah. It's like, well, this is pretty cool.
most
Fantastic.
amazing day of my life.
The
Yeah, it's
doppelganger.
like living in her shoes for a minute, right?
Oh, she's the
Yeah.
great.
You're like,
Yeah,
yes, I am.
it's a cool if you guys look at her website and you go read her Substacks, the story is there
Yeah.
and she has pictures from Schwab's back in the day and
That's awesome.
it was really cool to learn.
Yeah, no, I was just like, because I listen in the background while I'm like doing all the tech stuff, and all of
Oh
a sudden,
yeah,
I'm like,
you're always
Yeah.
like
God, that's like so cool. And
So
I
cool.
love, the thing about Audrey Hepburn, because I have a love affair for Audrey Hepburn, sure. She always had agency for herself, though. You know
yep.
what I mean?
Absolutely.
Even when she was like owned by the studios, she was one of those, I think, young actresses from early on that kind
That
of
she
was a
could
no BS, you
yeah.
know?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
her one husband's full I love that Mel Ferrer's full name is Melkor. Like how
I
cool is
know.
that?
Oh,
Oh
I
I've
my
never
love it.
God.
heard of Melkor before.
I love it.
That fits
Well,
him.
Marie's got some great comments and everything in the comment section that She read and reviewed The Last Checkmate in 2021.
Thank
January
you.
23, she loved Daughters of Victory. Pre-order purchase audiobook of the Star Society, all 5 stars.
Yeah.
The
Thank
fan.
you.
She's
Thank
a
you. Thank
fan like
you.
me. We're
Follows
I
you
love
on
fangirls.
that.
Instagram. She read The Nightingale. So,
Love.
but what she
Fantastic.
wants to know, and maybe not for
Yeah.
this book, but maybe for the one in September, will you be coming to New York area on book tour for this book or the one
I
in September?
would love to. I've been to New York. I love New York. I've never done a signing or anything in New York. I do not have plans at the moment. I would like to get something in the works for September. I've not talked to anybody yet, but I will absolutely keep y'all
Because you,
updated.
I saw all your New York pictures and I was like, okay, this is
Okay.
gonna
Oh
fit
my
into the book.
gosh.
Here's a
Yes.
little here's a little
Yes.
tip. Here's a little tip. Maria,
Okay.
if you have a independent bookstore that you love and that you
Yeah.
frequent, you go and you talk to their events person and you say, "Hey, have you ever thought about having Gabriella?" Because I get that
I would
question
love that.
all the
I
time.
would love that. I would
And
love to
that
go.
is how kind of publicists
And then they can find another,
they'll
often
be
Yeah.
it's another local author who has
Right.
just to get more bang for your buck, you're going to
I
find
was
correct.
gonna
another
say,
author who
I
has
would
a
love
similar release.
exactly. I would love to go get another author, audiobook narrator,
Yep,
somebody else to
Yeah.
come in with me. So we have a conversation, and so people come because there's somebody there that's a lot cooler than me. Um,
that's fine.
and that would
But
be
that
fantastic.
is one of those things that we do, that people
Yeah,
come and when I'm like looking out and I'll send something to publicity and say, "Hey, if she's going to be in the area, we've got customers who want to come see." So,
that's a really good point. I've never thought of that. To where
yes.
if people just go tell your bookstores,
Go
"Hey,
tell your
we want to see this
bookstore.
author,"
Yeah,
so go tell your
because
bookstores.
they will because New York is looking for places to send
Yeah,
you. And they don't
right,
just want to
Yeah.
send you to a desert that so if you
right.
have fans in a certain area,
Then they know this is going
then
to be
they
worth our
know it's
time.
like it's worth their time to send you there. So,
Love that. That's a great plan.
just a little plan there. Okay, so she also has a question. I love her. I love you, Maria,
I
because she
love this.
lots of fun questions. So for all 4 of your books, did you have an easy time choosing your book covers? She says they're all beautiful.
Oh, they are
Thank
beautiful.
you. I got very, very lucky in that essentially kind of the first cover they send you a concept really. So it's like, here's what we're thinking, because we talk about it beforehand. We say, this is kind of the vibe we want. Here's some inspiration pictures. Here's some research pictures that I took, things like that. And they take that to the designers and they put something together and then they send it to me. So I got very lucky that pretty much the draft they sent me is pretty close to what we ended up with
That's awesome.
in the Star Society. All we did was like put them in more period appropriate swimwear and add the little touches of red because they were just in like bikinis. And I mean, they had bikinis then, but I was like, I want kind of the 40s looking swimsuit.
Right.
Yeah.
Um, and my other ones, like Daughters, was pretty much the exact same.
That's a
Checkmate changed a little. I
stunning
love,
cover.
love that one. Oh, it's so beautiful. And Survivors Guild, they sent it to me, and I said basically no notes. They changed one of the figures slightly just to make her look a little more Lebanese. That is all we did to that one because I gasped when I got that one. It's on, for those who haven't seen it, it's Central Park Bow Bridge in
Oh,
New
it's
York.
beautiful.
Stunning. That is my favorite bridge ever, and I am just blown away by
And
how
if
lucky
you
I
watch
get.
The Gilded Age, like I
Yes,
do, obsessed with The Gilded
yes.
Age,
Oh my gosh, same.
I am so excited for the new
Uh,
one because
I am so excited. It
I
was so
love it.
much fun. And
I don't know.
I basically
Okay,
listened.
Gabriella, you might be the next busiest person to Rachel. I swear to God. Okay, all the books that
Oh
you're
my
writing,
gosh.
all the shows that you guys watch,
and she works full time.
and
This is
she's
not
Yeah.
reading
her
all these
only
other
job.
authors.
Me and Rachel. No one's ever going to top Rachel, but I will take second.
Oh no, you're pretty awesome.
Oh
I
my
think you're
goodness, you
amazing.
guys, it's like I'm sitting here thinking, well, I'm a schlep. I've only read one book this last week. So-
Oh my gosh, no. I didn't say I had a social life or anything. All I do is work.
oh, but we're so glad that you do. We're so glad that we,
Thank
we
you.
love this. Um, so anyways, she wanted, and one last from Maria. What ice cream do you like? That's a really interesting
That's a good
question.
Oh,
question.
I love a lot of different ice creams. Right now I'm in the mood for like coffee with chocolate chips.
There you go. I love it. I love that a lot. And then her last question was, did you enjoy Brooklyn when you were here? Did you visit Brooklyn Heights area? She said she grew up there and
Yes.
favorites.
Oh, fantastic. I loved Brooklyn. That was my first time in Brooklyn. I went this past August. for my birthday. And so I walked the Brooklyn Bridge, which was lovely. So I kind of popped off in Dumbo. But initially, my first day there, I guess I think I was close to Brooklyn Heights and Carroll Gardens. I was at the Colony Club, which is a cocktail bar. Um, I met Saskia Marleveld there, who is my audiobook narrator for
Oh,
the
she
Star
did one of
That's
my
what she
Society.
books.
said
She
does a
is
great job.
She
amazing.
is lovely, so
She
lovely.
is
So
so
I
great.
just happened to know by then that she was going to do the book, and I'd gotten this trip planned. And so I just messaged her and was like, "Hey, would you want to meet and just get to know each other in person?" She's like, "Yeah." So that was lovely. She is a gem. She's fantastic and such a good narrator. So if you haven't listened to any of her books, she has a bajillion of them. She does Kate Quinn, she does Madeline Martin, and one of Rachel's, and just
Just
she's
everybody.
literally
She
everyone.
has
I'm going to give
everybody.
you, I'm going to give you another tip on that because we just had Susan Elizabeth Phillips at the store,
Oh,
and
neat.
her narrator was happened to be in LA, and they hooked up, and she came and did the event with Susan.
That
It was so
That's
fun,
so
amazing. I would
fun.
love to do that. Like have a narrator there and we can talk about it.
and
That would
she
be
did a reading,
fantastic.
and she
I
did a
love,
reading.
yes. Oh my gosh. I would make Saskia do the reading. Be like, you
Yes,
can do that.
it was so fun. So there's another little tip for
Yes. Okay,
that's
maybe
another
for
little New
Survivor's
York tip.
Guild.
It's so
That's
Yeah.
another little
interesting.
New
And
York tip.
like covers, for anyone who doesn't know, my books get when they're planning the narrator, I send in a questionnaire like, this is how you pronounce this person's name, this is the accent
Hmm.
that I would like, etc., etc. But then you often get little snippets and you get to hear, like, is this the
Right.
person you want? Is this the person you want? And that's kind of fun as an author to be, because it never sounds like it sounds in my
Your
head.
head, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's an interesting,
Yeah.
Oh,
weird
It's such a cool
experience.
process. I
Yeah.
love the process.
so much fun. All right,
Yeah.
so we know what's coming next. We already know that's coming in September. Hopefully, we will be back in September and we
Yes.
can pick a date and have
Oh,
this
yeah.
fun
We'll do
conversation
this
again because
Yes.
again.
we will do this
Absolutely.
again.
Let's
But
do
for
it.
people who want to like, where is there one particular social media you like? Do you have a website you want
Yeah.
to direct people to? Anything like that?
Yes, I have a website, which is GabriellaSaab.com. I also have a Substack, which is Gabriella Saab at Substack. So Substack.GabriellaSaab or however you
Do that
Substack.
Substack thing.
Do Substack. So sign up for the newsletter. All the news will be there, all the
Yeah.
latest. And then I am on Facebook at facebook.com/Gabriella Saab author. I'm on Instagram at Gabriella Saab underscore. I'm on X at that same one. I don't really use X a whole
No,
lot
but I think
anymore now that
anybody's using
Yeah.
X,
I
right?
know, but I'm there. I kind of lurk sometimes, but
Yeah.
Instagram and Facebook are primarily where I'll post the latest news and, of course, the newsletter.
Perfect.
So if you
Yeah, the
want to keep up,
newsletters, if people want to keep up, follow people's
yeah,
newsletters. Those are
newsletter's the
the,
best place.
yeah,
Exactly. Because I will always direct you to all the events, where to get the books. I'll tell you
right.
where to follow me. So all the information is going to be on the Substack if you want kind of a one-stop shop.
Perfect.
And
And Rachel,
thank you. Oh, I was just going to
where
say
should people
thank
follow you? Where
Rach
can they
K.
follow
Mick,
you?
RACHKMC, everywhere. So you can
Everywhere.
see all the people tagging me in the book that actually didn't come out today. It
Nope.
will come out.
It will come out. And
Why
you have
write
a
a
great
book
Yes.
Instagram
once
too.
when you
I love
can
your
write it
Instagram too.
40
Yes.
times?
Rachel's Instagram is pure joy.
Yes, it's
Oh,
pure joy.
bunnies.
I
Her
was going to
travels are
say,
very fun.
I love it.
But thank you for doing this because this was before, but I was really sick and
Oh my
actually
Oh,
didn't
gosh.
have a
that's
speaking
right.
voice.
That
So
was
thank you
terrible.
for being so
Yes.
flexible.
I forgot. Well, I
Thank
forgot the reason
you.
why. I knew we rescheduled, but I forgot the reason why. So
Right.
thank you for doing this, the change,
Yes,
Gabriella. I'm
absolutely.
glad that you're healthy for it. And
Y'all.
thank you for all the listeners and for the watchers who came and stayed
Yeah,
with us too for the new date. So
definitely. Definitely. We appreciate it.
yeah. All right, everybody. Have a great rest of
Yes.
your week. Happy
Thank you
Y'all,
reading.
so much.
thank
This
y'all
was
so much.
lovely.
It was. Thank y'all for coming.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.